Welcome to the Healing Soul podcast, empowering wellness and oneness. I'm your host, Marybeth Rombach Nelson, and today I have a wonderful guest, Denise Clanin. Welcome to the Healing Soul, Denise.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk today. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So I am currently a stay-at-home mom with two little ones. And my family and I live in North Idaho by the Coeur d'Alene region. Um,
Okay.
and we've been here about 4 years, so we're fairly new to the area. But before then, we're actually just before we moved here, we were living in Southern California, San Diego, more specifically. And at that time, I was a full-time accountant, and that was kind of my focus before we had our kids. And after my husband and I decided to move up to North Idaho, that was kind of when our life changed very drastically over just those 4 years, where I stepped down from full-time accounting to stay at home with my son after he was born, a year after we moved. And then I ended up deciding to publish a book, my first novel, and that was just released about 6 months ago.
Well, congratulations. And what's your novel called?
Oh, my book is called Among the Stars. It's a contemporary romance with some suspense and mystery, and it also takes place in the North Idaho region after we moved here. We like that kind of was part of the reason, or I guess part of the spark for writing this book.
Wonderful. And I know you've had tragedy in your life with the loss of your brother, and I know our listeners could be going through something similar. What helped you? And share a little bit about your brother and what you experienced, and then we'll get into what helped you move through your grief.
Yes, absolutely. So I had an older brother, Garrett. He was 2 years older than I was, and we were very close growing up. He was diagnosed with a chronic medical condition called NF2 when he was 11 years old, which it basically causes tumors to grow throughout his body that there's no cure for it. And it is a situation where you don't know, it can be more serious or severe. Some cases are not as much, but my brother's condition what did become more severe as he got older, into his 20s. And that was the point when he did lose his ability to hear, speak, and see well. And that at that time, my family and I did have to kind of take a step back from some of our hobbies. My parents were essentially his full-time caregivers in my brother's last years of his life. And at that time, it was very much just a time where we had to kind of lean on God's understanding and his plan, because we weren't sure what was going to happen and how long my brother would be with us. And that definitely to test our faith and our family. And together we did we were supporting each other through that time. And my brother did pass away at the age of 29. And that was about actually 6 years ago, as of I guess as of August. That was his 6 year anniversary of his passing.
So sorry.
It's sometimes it is kind of surreal that it was 6 years ago, because it does seem like yesterday when he's still with us. And I was very close with my family, so I would visit him and my parents multiple times a week, back when we were all living in San Diego together. And so even though my brother is no longer with us, I am still thankful for all of the memories that we have together. And I always look fondly on those, and the photos that we have. I actually recently looked through an album of us when we were very little, and it's still to this day, it brings a smile to my face, remembering kind of the positive impact he left behind. He was a very positive, uplifting person, and he was his had a very contagious sense of humor, and he was very good about bringing people together in community. And a lot of our friends and family, we've, I guess, been brought together because of my brother. He was just a very positive person. And so even though he is no longer with us, I am very thankful that he sought out community and bringing people together. And I have a lot of positive, I guess, yeah, a lot of positive memories and experiences that I can look fondly on.
That's beautiful. And I feel like his spirit and soul is still around you and your family always. And you can ask for signs and he can give them to you so that you can feel his presence. I'm also intuitive and a channeler too. So you can ask for a sign and he'll give you a sign or ask him to come in a vivid dream and he will. And that's a beautiful thing.
Mm. Yeah, it is very encouraging. Just whenever I hear a song on the radio, for instance, my brother was really into classic rock music. So
Uh-huh.
whenever I hear one of his favorite songs, it feels like he's in the car with me. Like if we're listening to the radio, I can.
Did that just happen within the last week?
It has happened.
I
It's
feel like it did.
Yeah, sometimes there's just these songs or these memories that, yeah, or I guess it triggers that memory of him back when my brother and I would kind of bond over music.
Right. Music is so therapeutic and so healing, and it takes us back to a space and time, which is a beautiful thing. And I know a lot of our listeners are going through a hard time and have lost people. There's a lot of people are have their exit points from this earth right now, and they're feeling so depressed. Can you share with the listeners how you moved through grief and what really helped you on your journey to get back to yourself?
Yeah. So I know with the grieving process, it's not like a straightforward process. Sometimes it's like two steps forward, one step back. And I know in the beginning it was a little rough because it wasn't actually right after he passed. It was like that year or two where my family and I are trying to figure out our next steps, especially my parents, where they were full-time caregivers and now they're no longer in that role. So they had to figure out what are they going to do next with their time. And so that I think it's just what I've learned is just to be very patient with ourselves in that kind of transitionary phase, because it very much is kind of that um, yeah, we're kind of transitioning into a new role, and that's very understandable that we're not going to have all the answers right now. And so for me, it just involved a lot of prayer and just trusting in God's greater plan for my life and for my family. And so for my husband and I, we were still that was the time we were still in an apartment in San Diego, and we were looking to eventually start a family and buy a house, and but we didn't have the answers yet. And so there was that kind of point where I felt a little lost. And that just involved being patient and kind of praying about it and waiting on the right time. And then we ended up, I guess, a few years after my brother passed, we did end up moving up to Idaho. And that was when we began our family.
Beautiful, very nice. And I know I've lost several people in my family, and initially, especially, my brother died at 49 of an asthma attack, and it was sudden. And I guess the first step for me was just having it be my reality. Just like you said, your parents were full-time caregivers. It's like, what do you do now that that person is gone? So filling that space, sometimes with something creative like writing or art, or if you like to sing or play an instrument, it actually can process the grief through your body and through your emotions and release it through something beautiful. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the book that I wrote, I it did have to be written after that my brother passed because I don't think I would have had those experiences and couldn't resonate with the main character of my book otherwise. Because the character in my book, Natalie, loses her father, and I think my experiences with losing my brother kind of I could resonate with her and Natalie's journey a lot better than before when my brother was still alive.
Right, that makes sense. And I think sometimes the biggest tragedies in our lives help us to help other people because we have more compassion and our heart grows even bigger through the experience.
Yeah, and it also we have I guess our experiences, we can use those to kind of help other people who might also be suffering down the road, and then we can be a support for them.
Right. And how have you turned your pain into hope and into having the energy to write a book? Because that takes a lot of effort.
Mm. So I was, for me, I always kind of looked back on what my brother stood for. He was very, like I have mentioned, he's very positive, was very, had a very contagious sense of humor, very much had that positive outlook on life. And I know that he would want to be remembered before his complications had worsened, when he was a lot more, I guess, social and just, yeah, more of the glass half full kind of person. And so I remember that legacy he left behind, and I wanted to continue that through my writing. Writing has always been a little hobby of mine, just a
Mhm.
fun pastime, but I've never actually published a book. It's always been a dream of mine, but I just got busy. Well, I went to college, pursued an accounting degree, and that kind of became my focus afterward. So my writing hobby kind of was on hold for a while, but then it
Right.
wasn't until about a year and a half ago when I revisited actually an idea that I had for a creative writing class that I took in college. And
Uh-huh.
it was like this little, I guess, writing prompt. And I ended up kind of building off of that and writing the book that I have now, Among the Stars. And that, I guess, the inspiration from that really did come from my brother, and how he always wanted to connect people together, and through he would tell stories, I guess, oral stories on his own. And so I wanted to kind of continue that legacy of bringing people together through storytelling.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure as you were writing the pages, he was probably in the room with you and flooded your, so many beautiful memories that the two of you have had.
Yeah, there's definitely some, I guess, sections in the story that were, guess, parallels to memories of that I've had with my family.
Right. I know it was my older brother that passed also, and he was just so giving and would help anyone, or if someone gave him good service, he would go to the manager and give kudos to the person. So it sounds like your brother was very similar, very positive type of person, very loving,
Yeah, definitely.
very special soul. So, have you ever considered, would you say you're walking your soul's path now through your writing?
So I would definitely say that the first book, I definitely had that kind of, I guess, spiritual guidance as I prayed about the writing and if I would even get the book published. And it was actually a miracle that it got released when it did. It was between my first and second child's birth that I actually finished the book, and then I actually published it just after my daughter was born. So it was a miracle that the book was even released. And so now I would like to write again in the future, if I have the chance. And so that would be something I would look forward to. And so for now, I'm just kind of getting, I guess, kind of taking it day by day and appreciating where I am now with my family. And then if any ideas come up, I write them down and hopefully apply them to my next book.
Right. Yeah, I'm also a writer, and my last book was Hope Heals, Always Hold Hope in Your Heart, because life is so hard and there are so many tragedies and so many people go through loss of some kind, losing a parent or a spouse or a child, and finding your way back to being hopeful and healing and having compassion for yourself and others is such a process. And like you said, sometimes you go, one step forward, three steps back. And what I want our listeners to know that if you are doing better and you've lost someone recently, and now you're back to crying and not feeling like yourself, it's okay. Let yourself cry, let yourself go through grief. Call a counselor if you need to, but don't let anyone else tell you how to grieve, because like you said, we all grieve differently. Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so um through your healing and growth, do you look at life differently now? Have you changed your perspective about what's most important to you?
I think after losing my brother, I do kind of, well, I've learned to kind of appreciate each day and not trying to, I guess, plan too much. Like it's always good to have goals for the future, but also to appreciate the here and now, appreciate the blessings that I have at this time. And so I've been able to kind of take a step back, appreciate like right now being living in Idaho with my family and in this beautiful part of the country. And right now it's warm outside, so we're definitely kind of basking in those nice sunny days. And just being able to count our blessings is something that I've had that I guess I've learned because we can't worry about tomorrow. Like tomorrow will come whether we worry about it or not. And so we're kind of just I'm in the place where I just need to appreciate like where I am right now.
Right. And I know I had my mom die, or my godmother, my mom, and then my brother in a short period of time years ago, and it was a lot. And I started a page, Thank You God for Today. And it's appreciating all the little things, having gratitude that each day we wake up, we can be kind to someone, or we can write something that will move someone, or say a kind word. Just having the gratitude for our lives. Sometimes when we go through loss, it wakes us up to make us aware that tomorrow isn't always promised. And, be kind in your words when you talk to someone because it could be the last time you talk to them.
Yeah. And I've been definitely trying to remember like friends or family that I haven't talked to in a while and reach out to them to see how they're doing.
And that's so important because sometimes when you think of someone and you think, gosh, I should call that person, that's like the angels guiding you to reach out because maybe they are going through a hard time. And connection is so important in giving people hope and healing and having compassion for people that are going through similar things that you've experienced really does make you heal that much quicker.
Yeah. And I know that like grief is kind of a journey, not a destination. So sometimes I find myself, I guess, experiencing some sadness about my brother not being with us. But that is okay. And I've allowed myself to, I guess, process that sadness, even if it's, years later.
Right, right. Well, initially, especially if someone's listening has gone through someone in their life that's had a sudden death, like myself, my brother had called me the night before, and then they called me in the morning, and I was in denial. I said, "No, you're wrong. My brother's healthy. He golfs. You're wrong." So, I mean, some people might be stuck in denial. And some people might be angry, how could you leave me? I needed you, or, just stuck in that depression. But know that it's okay and it's a process. And tomorrow will be a little bit better, and the next day will be a little bit better. And hang in there and reach out for help if you need to, or call a friend because it does get better. And that human connection and it's just so important in spiritual healing, our spiritual health, praying and crying and letting go and having faith and knowing that our soul does go on and that our loved one is still with us. They've just left their body behind and they're whole, happy, and complete in their spirit and in their soul.
Mm. Yeah.
So. So prayer was always important to me too, and it helps. And crying is actually a release, and it's good for your soul. And just like exercise is good to move and get through the depression. And being out in nature is always spiritually healing to connect and listen to the birds or go by the mountains and hike or go to a stream and just sit and reflect on happy memories and try to focus like you did on the good times and the gratitude that you have for having had that person in your life.
Yeah. And because I know like my brother was always, yeah, he would want us to remember him by his like by all the positive, I guess, positive memories that we had together. He wouldn't want us to focus on the last years of his life, but rather when he was like a teenager and a child, because he was a lot of energy and yeah.
Yeah, so So just my father passed when I was 14 years old, and like I said before we got on camera, I channel and I'm intuitive and I see spirit, and I was only 14, and a week after my dad passed, he appeared to me physically younger and healthy, and it totally freaked me out because that really opened the door for me being able to see and connect to spirit. But people are like, oh, you were so young when you lost your dad. But just like you, I was so happy that I had such a loving and good father for 14 years. So
Mm.
just having that mindset of appreciation, and I know it's super hard if someone's listening just lost someone, but appreciating the special soul that they were and however long that you did have them in your life is really a precious gift.
Yeah. And I'm glad that my brother was, I was able to experience all of my childhood and adolescence with him. And I would definitely wouldn't change any of those experiences. I'm, yeah, very thankful for that.
Well, how can people get your book? Is it on your website or is The Amazing Stars on Amazon? Where can they look your book up?
So Among the Stars is on Amazon as an ebook, paperback, or audiobook. And then I also do have a personal Facebook and Instagram account where it's also just I posted as well about
Okay.
about my book. And yeah, and I also have a publisher's page through my publishing company.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your book cover and it's beautiful, Among the Stars, and it's almost like you think of, at least I do, I think of the souls as twinkling stars.
Yeah, I definitely have some, I guess, metaphors as well throughout the story that kind of incorporate nature and just, yeah, nature is a pretty big, I guess, have pretty big motifs in the book as well.
There was a quote that I saw from your book. Sometimes the only way to find the truth is to open our hearts. That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so opening your heart and having compassion and love for everyone and everything is why we're all here.
yeah. Sometimes just like going outside our front door can kind of I guess, be a reminder of some of the blessings just, yeah, just outside our house. And that's why we love nature and being up in Idaho area. And I know there's just, and wherever you are, you can always find that like silver lining.
Right. And to our listeners, um, we send love and compassion if you're going through a hard time or a time of loss. It does get better. It shows strength to call a counselor and ask for help or reach out to a friend if you're having a hard time. And know that every day you wake up, it can get a little bit better and that it's going to be okay. And that our souls live forever and they never die. So your loved ones are still around us. And you can, like I said, you can ask for a sign, you can ask for them to visit you in a dream, and it does give you peace. And especially if you have faith that our soul does go on, it's easier to know that one day we will be with them again.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share about anything with our listeners?
Yeah, so I have some, I guess one of the major themes in my book that I touch on is about that everything happens for a reason. And that's something that's kind of helped me through a lot of these changes, especially after my brother's passing, that sometimes we can't see the big picture. And often I guess I like to control things, so sometimes I get discouraged by that where I don't know what's going to happen next, like the next chapter
Right,
of my life. But just I guess just to have that there is hope. That even if we can't see it, I know that I've seen how God has worked in my life with bringing us, my husband and me, to Idaho and where we started our family, and then I published this book. And if you asked me 5 years ago, I would have never guessed that we would be in this place that we are now. And we were still at that apartment, a one bedroom apartment in San Diego, not even able to afford a house. And so I have just seen that growth that we've gone through. Um, my husband and I have gone through. And even though at the time I was a little discouraged not having the answers, it's okay. That there is hope. And I know there's been a lot of, I guess, mental health crises in our culture, just a lot of rates of anxiety and depression. And so I would just encourage anyone who's going through that, might be going through a tough time, or that just to not give up on yourself, and don't give up on your life circumstances. Things will change. There is hope. Sometimes it just involves prayer and waiting. And I'm very thankful that I did wait for this opportunity to just move here and start our family and our new life.
I'm happy for you. You've got so many exciting things happening in your life, and what a huge accomplishment to publish a book and to have it out there to help other souls that are also hurting.
Yeah.
So thank you for this beautiful conversation, and thank you for being on the Healing Soul podcast.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
you're welcome. And I always pick an intuitive heart oracle card, and today's is perfect. Climb up and take a hand. It takes great strength to ask for help in hard times. Allow yourself to receive help when you need it. Accepting a helping hand is powerful for both of you. You can return the favor to someone else when you regain your strength. Climb up and take a hand. I want to thank all the souls listening today. Know that there is hope, there is healing. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. It's going to be okay. Thank you for listening to the Healing Soul podcast. Hit the follow button and share this episode. The Healing Soul, empowering wellness and oneness. God loves you, and so do I. Thank you.